All right, everybody. Happy Friday. I mean, I guess it really depends on who you're asking about whether or not this is a happy Friday or not, but didn't think I'd be talking to you this early. I thought I wouldn't see you guys until the preview show coming up a little bit later on, but we have some breaking news. If you guys haven't seen, Arman Tsarukyan is out of the main event of UFC 311. According to UFC CEO Dana White, he was dealing with a back injury, and Dana White received a phone call from Arman Tsarukyan around 1 a.m. local time, informing him that the back injury was a little bit too much and that he would no longer be competing at UFC 311, no longer fighting Islam Makhachev for the UFC lightweight title. And I had heard some rumors. I had heard some things in regards to this. People talking about what's going on with Arman Tsarukyan. Is he going to fight? As the weigh-ins in Inglewood were going on, he was noticeably absent. Things started to spread. We had heard Arman may be out, and then Dana White confirmed it. But the good news is we have a new main event. The number one pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, Islam Makhachev, will still have his opportunity to make history tomorrow night at the Intuit Dome. He will now defend the lightweight title against Renato Moicano. How about that? The man who continues to ask for money. Give me that money. Now he's going to get it. He's going to get main event money on a pay-per-view. He's going to fight for his first UFC world title. And this is huge news for Renato Moicano. It is an absolute bummer for Arman Tsarukyan. And to be fair, it is an absolute bummer for Beneil Dariush, who was originally scheduled to face Renato Moicano on the main card tomorrow. So this is absolutely insane news that is happening just before the UFC's first pay-per-view of 2025. So I thought I would hop in, give my reaction. And you know what? It's just me here right now. It's just your pal Mike. I want to talk to all of you about what is going on here. So let's start. Johnny Y says the MMA gods are dead. Hey, listen. We could have gone on without an Islam Makhachev fight, right? We could have gone on without Makhachev competing for his chance to make history. Renato Moicano stepped in. Dana White was actually on the UFC 311 weigh-in show and basically gave Islam Makhachev's reaction to it and said Islam was like, I'm the champion, I'll fight whoever. And Renato Moicano was absolutely aware of the situation, which is why he made it a point to make championship weight. Not coming in at 156, coming in at 155, championship weight. Now he gets the fight. He wants money. And what a moment it would be if Renato Moicano comes in out of nowhere and wins the UFC lightweight title tomorrow night. What a way to start the freaking year, and what a promo he would absolutely cut. But I want to see, I haven't really gotten a chance to look yet. From what I understand, the betting odds open -600 for Islam Makhachev against Renato Moicano, which I can absolutely understand. So, did Dana announce Beneil gets a show and win money? He didn't say those words per se, but he said they were going to take care of him. So I assume he is going to get paid in some way, shape, or form. On top of that, they will probably go and try to rebook him, because this isn't obviously Beneil Dariush's fault. So this is kind of where we're at right now. And it's just crazy, man. Like, this sport never, it just hits you sometimes. Things just kind of come out of nowhere, and the news cycle just never sleeps. It's -900 now. All right, this does not surprise me. But Renato Moicano gets his big opportunity. And again, it's a bummer for Beneil Dariush. I want to see if the UFC has actually updated their website yet in regards to this. Oh, they have. Look at, they have a Makhachev Moicano poster and everything. All right, let's see. I want to see who got, if there's a, are they even, I'm trying to see if there's an update to the actual main card yet. There is! More breaking news. The opening main card bout will take place in the heavyweight division. It'll be Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. kicking off the pay-per-view. Then we go into Kevin Holland versus Renier Ritter, Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill, Murad Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov for the bantamweight title in the co-main event, and then Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano for the lightweight title in the main event. So crazy stuff here on this Friday on UFC 311 Eve. We will have a preview show. Jed will join me. We'll talk a little bit more about what is going on here. We'll get his reaction to all of this. But yes, if you're just joining us, Arman Tsarukyan out of UFC 311. Dana White announced it is a back injury that just continued to kind of get worse. Received a phone call from Arman Tsarukyan, 1 a.m. local time in California, letting him know he's not going to be able to compete. But Renato Moicano, who made 155 on the nose, is in, and he will challenge Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title in the main event. And Beneil Dariush, for those wondering what happens to Dariush, nothing. He's not going to be fighting. Dana said on the UFC 311 weigh-in show that he will be taken care of. What that means, I'm sure he'll get a little bit of money. They're going to try to rebook him. And now everyone is just like all over me right now because I'm kind of on the Arman Tsarukyan train and was predicting the big upset. Will I predict another big upset? I don't know. But some other breaking news as well. Just saw this on the weigh-in show. Chris Weidman, the former UFC middleweight champion of the world, on the weigh-in show officially announced his retirement from mixed martial arts competition. So, man, the news just keeps coming. It just doesn't stop. We got a new main event for UFC 311. One of the middleweight division's all-time greats, no longer competing. I don't think this is a bad idea. I think this is actually a terrific idea from Chris Weidman because he did not look very good in that Eric Anders fight, if we're being honest. So this is not a bad move whatsoever. But yeah. All right. What are your thoughts on all of this? Dariush is being compensated for his purse for cutting weight per Dana White. Okay. Yeah, I know they said he's gonna get taken care of. I'm sure he's gonna get paid. It's just kind of a weird situation with this whole thing. Wait, did Dana just call Makhachev the pound for pound #1? All it took to save in the card. He had to do it. He had to do it. You could see it in his eyes every time he has to say the #1 pound for pound fighter, Islam Makhachev. You could just kind of see the pain in his face. There's a little pain in mine. Yes, obviously I wanted to see this fight. I wanted to cash it on the Arman prediction for many, many years of him becoming the lightweight champion. But as a fight fan, I just wanted to see them run this back because their first fight was so good with Tsarukyan kind of stepping in and fighting Islam Makhachev on less than a month's notice for his UFC debut. And he's worked his way back to this fight. I just wanted to see this play out. I wanted to see the improved versions of both guys going against each other in a championship fight. I wanted to see if Arman could cash that ticket and get on in there and make it happen. So it's just a crazy situation. But for a guy like Renato Moicano, one of the more likable guys, a guy that just continues to get over with not just the microphone, but his performances too. He has looked sensational. He beat the hell out of Benoit Saint-Denis. He beat the hell out of that man. And there weren't not a lot of people who were predicting that. There are people who are saying that Moicano could win. Maybe he'd grind out a decision the longer the fight went, but he just pillar to post, beat the hell out of BSD. And that was an incredible performance. That was an eye-opener for me. And I'm just curious to see how this fight plays out now. How does Islam Makhachev approach this on a day's notice? Beneil Dariush literally has nothing to lose. He could literally just go in there and go balls to the wall. And he's a hero. He comes out smelling like roses in all of this, no matter what. How does Islam Makhachev approach this? Because there aren't a lot of fighters in his position who would say yes to this. There just aren't. And no matter how you feel about a guy like Islam Makhachev, the fact that he is doing this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So he deserves tremendous praise for this. Obviously, Moicano stepping in, taking this opportunity. Big move for him. Sucks for Dariush, and sucks for Arman Tsarukyan, who got himself in tremendous shape. I thought he did a fantastic job sort of building this fight up with the whole the secret technique thing. But it's just kind of the sport right now. It's a little bit of a bummer, but the UFC, as they always do, They came through. They came through. Weidman, an all-time great. What a dopey comment. I understand you've watched fighting for like 2 years now, but trust me when I tell you, Chris Weidman is one of the all-time great middleweights. That's what I said. He's one of the 5 best middleweights of all time. And if you think I'm wrong, then you need to watch fighting more. AK was thinking of you because you had Arman on your fantasy team, Mike, as your lightweight. I sure did. Not good for the fantasy team. Now the question is, what do you do with Arman Tsarukyan? That's one of the big questions I have. This is a guy who had to scratch a day before due to, at least what Dana said, a lingering back injury, which became a little bit too much for him. At least that's kind of how it sounded to me. Do you give him a title fight when he comes back? What do you do here? Does he have to fight somebody else? That's what's going to be really interesting about this. On a positive note, it's nice to see a fresh matchup. Lightweight has been stale for years with Oliveira, Poirier, Gaethje. I agree. That's kind of why I liked this Tsarukyan fight, because we see how deep this division is. There's a lot of great fighters coming up, and there are a lot of guys we earmarked to be future title challengers. The Rafael Fizieves, the Mateusz Gamrots, the Jalen Turners, etc., etc. And Arman Tsarukyan is the one guy who has gotten that big moment and has come through, knocking out Beneil Dariush, that he beats Charles Oliveira, Fiziev, and a lot of these guys have gotten these opportunities. Gamrot got Beneil, lost. Fiziev got Gaethje, lost. BSD got Dustin Poirier, lost. So it's not like these up-and-comers haven't gotten their opportunities. Tsarukyan's just the one guy who's been able to come through. Mike, do you think Arman will get another shot? Yeah, I think he will. Again, a lot of this is going to depend on the result of, obviously, what happens with Makhachev and Moicano, but a lot of this, as we've talked about a lot on these shows, is going to depend on what happens at welterweight. Because if Shavkat Rakhmonov fights Bilal Muhammad and wins the belt, I think Islam's going to go up to 170, especially after this. He did the UFC a big favor, and I think if I'm him, part of this, if you want to be a 2-division champion, you stepping in multiple times as champion to take on a short-notice opponent. He did it with Volkanovski in their second fight, because obviously he was supposed to fight Oliveira again, and he didn't have a ton. The Poirier fight came together kind of quickly, and then this came together in a day and a half. Less than that, probably. So I think if he wants to go up to 170, he can, but I don't think he's going to fight Bilal Muhammad. That's kind of where we're at right now. But I think, but that means if he goes up, I hope he vacates the belt, and then we could do Arman versus somebody else for the vacant belt. But it's a bummer, man. I really wanted to see this fight. I really did. Do you think your predictions could still come true, Mike? That Arman wins the lightweight belt before the end of the year? Yes, I do. Diego looked rough on the scale. I wonder if Benny moves to Dawson. I haven't heard anything. I would say probably not. Oh, there you go. Where's Dan Ige? That's a great question right there. Where's Dan Ige? Maybe he could step in. Can you talk about Bogdan's opponents? I can't lie to you, my friends, and I want to be transparent with all of you. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about his new opponent. Billy Elikana, I know he trains in Vegas. That's pretty much all I know about him. He's fought for PFL. I don't really know a ton about him. I know he's a middleweight for the most part. I think he's obviously moving up here. I think he what did he weigh in at? He was like 200 pounds. I think he weighed in at. So he's typically a middle. Oh no, he fights a light heavyweight, but he came in super light. Someone told me he was a middleweight. Maybe I'm wrong. But again, I don't know a ton about him. But what I I'm not going to say confidently say, but I will say, pretty confidently say, is this is not going to go well for him. I think he's going to get got pretty quick in this fight because Bogdan's one of those dudes. What else we got? Do we got anything else? We do have a preview show coming up, so we'll talk a lot more about this. Is Merab going to pull out too? No. John Jones would never do this. I mean, revisionist, a little bit of history lesson for you. John wouldn't have taken the fight. I mean, maybe he would have. I don't know. He certainly wouldn't. I don't think John would have fought Tom Aspinall if something happened with Stipe the day before. He didn't fight Chael Sonnen on, a week's notice before they had to cancel an entire pay-per-view event. So, but again, that's why I'm putting over Makhachev so much. And again, I don't blame John for that either. You're the champion. You grind your way to the belt. Once you win the belt, that's when you could start making the real money. That's when you start getting pay-per-view points. That's when you start getting pay-per-view main events. That's when you start getting those bonuses and those upper tier things that main event champions get. So you don't want to lose that. But Islam's just like, I don't care. Let's go. And if you guys missed it, oh, cool. We got obviously a new thumbnail for the preview show. If you missed it, Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak will be the new main card opener for UFC 311 now that Renato Moicano and Beneil Dariush is obviously not happening because Renato Moicano is fighting for the championship, which is absolutely insane. Why is Arman out? Why not Beneil? Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to give Beneil a title shot right now. It's very, very difficult to justify this. Was Beneil's last fight? Yeah, it's been a tough go for Mr. Dariush. Because he's what? Got wrecked by Oliveira, got wrecked by Arman Tsarukyan. You can't get a guy who got knocked out in the first round back-to-back fights a title shot. Moicano's on a long winning streak. He is. And we were sort of talking about it in all our programs too. If Renato Moicano went out there and dusted up Beneil Dariush with sort of the layout and landscape at 155, Renato Moicano could have gotten himself a title shot anyways. You know what I mean? This just comes a little bit sooner. And I was going to pick Moicano to win, but Benny's a tough out. He is a very tough out. He only loses to the best of the best, at least recently. Tyson honestly would have been Islam's biggest competitor yet. Very disappointed. I agree. I thought this was the toughest fight of, at least timing wise, I thought this was the toughest fight of his career. And obviously it's become a gimmick with the Arman Tsarukyan thing, but I really wanted to see if Arman Tsarukyan could go 5 rounds with Islam. Could he go 5-round fight against Islam if we went the whole way? I wanted to see what it would be like seeing Arman in 4 and 5 against a guy like Islam Makhachev. So it's a bummer. The matchup's so good stylistically. It's a bum. It's just a bummer. It really is. Who is Benny fighting? Nobody. He will not be fighting anybody. He's getting money, which is good. And then hopefully they rebook him soon. What's your prediction for the fight? What round and how will it be finished? I don't know. I mean, I'm picking Islam, obviously. But it's just, you just never know. This just has weird vibes written all over it. You know what I mean? It's very strange. The pick is Islam. I just think he's bigger, stronger, more physical. Renato is a sneaky as hell grappler, but it's tough. Tough scenes. But I'll go Makhachev. I think he finishes, I'll say, round 4. There's no way Money Moicano is the replacement. There is, baby. There is. Money Moicano is the replacement. I know a lot of people jumping on. I'm sorry. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Are they going to make Arman take another fight? I don't know. Again, this kind of all depends on what happens in this fight tomorrow and what happens at 170. Because I do feel that if Shavkat Rakhmonov beats Bilal Muhammad and wins the welterweight title, I think Islam is done at 155. I think he's gone. What else does he need to do? He's not going to just wait for these guys to come. He's already beaten all of them. Some of them twice. Justin Gaethje just got badly knocked out. If he beats Dan Hooker, are they going to give him a title shot? Is that going to excite him? I mean, that'd be a really interesting fight. Dan Hooker, he already ran through. If Dan Hooker beats Justin Gaethje, you can make a strong case, but we've seen this fight, and it wasn't that long ago. So it's just a weird time for lightweight. And get Islam out of there, have him go to 170. I think he'd do well against Shavkat. A lot of people just figuring this out right now. Topuria versus him? No. Come on. Can't do that. Topuria's got shit to do. He's got a lot of fights. If there's one champion who doesn't need to move at all, it's Ilia Topuria. He has a million dudes to fight right now. Go fight Volk. Totally okay with Volk getting an immediate rematch, even though I think the fight isn't going to look terribly different. But from what I understand from people I've talked to, Volk is locked in for this one. So we'll see. But again, then you got Diego Lopez, then you got Movsar Evloev, and these guys are just going to keep coming at 145. So, all right, if you're just joining us, we're about to get out of here. We're going to talk more about this very soon on the preview show. Arman Tsarukyan out of the main event of UFC 311. He is no longer competing, a back injury per UFC CEO Dana White. He announced it on Instagram, talked about it a little bit more on the UFC 311 official weigh-in show on the UFC's YouTube channel. But 1 a.m. local time, he got a phone call from Arman Tsarukyan, back injury, no longer competing. Renato Moicano steps in on a little over a day's notice. He will fight Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title. He was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush no longer competing, but Renato Moicano did make weight at championship weight 155, which was very pivotal. We didn't know when he stepped on the scale how important it would be that he makes 155, and the man did it. Money Moicano trying to make the most money he possibly can. If he goes out there and he beats Islam Makhachev tomorrow night, boy, the bank account is just going to get bigger. The stock of a guy like Renato Moicano is just going to get bigger because you know that the promo he is going to cut after he wins the belt will be absolutely unbelievable. So, guys, thank you so much. More on this coming up. Stick with us at MMAfighting.com for more information on this. We will have a preview show. Jed Meshew will join me. He's actually up in New York right now, if you can believe that. So, yes, preview show coming up. I know it says it's supposed to start right about now, but I think it's going to be delayed a little bit, but it is what it is. It's the news cycle. It's MMA, and this is MMA Fighting, and you guys are the best. So thank you so much. We'll see you very shortly on the UFC 311 preview show because things look vastly different right now. You guys are the best. Thank you.